The church bells tolled ominously as Kadender Hale stood at the front of the packed sanctuary, his hands clenched around the edges of the podium, staring down at the open casket where his adoptive father, Richard Hale, lay in eternal repose. The air was thick with the scent of lilies and whispered condolences, but Cade's mind raced back to that fateful night 2 years ago when Richard had confessed his love, shattering every boundary Cade thought unbreakable. Now, as the lawyer cleared his throat and announced that Cade would inherit 90% of Richard's vast estate, leaving the remaining 10 to be split among Richard's biological children, the murmurs turned to gasps, and Cade felt the weight of accusing eyes boring into him, wondering if they suspected the truth that could destroy everything. In the days leading up to the funeral, Cade had replayed their story in his head like a forbidden reel, each frame laced with guilt and longing. Adopted at 15 from a foster system that had chewed him up and spat him out, Cade had found in Richard not just a guardian, but a savior, a successful architect in his 50s who offered stability in a sprawling Boston brownstone. Richard's marriage to Elena had crumbled years earlier, leaving him alone with his 2 grown children, Sarah and Michael, who visited sporadically. Cade, with his sharp wit and quiet ambition, had become Richard's confidant, sharing late-night talks over chessboards and whiskey. But as Cade turned 21, those conversations deepened. Richard's compliments lingered, his touches accidental yet electric. "You're more than a son to me," Richard had whispered one evening, his voice trembling. Cade's heart had pounded, not with revulsion, but with a terrifying recognition of his own desires. Was this love, or the twisted product of gratitude and isolation? He pushed the thought away, focusing on his studies at Harvard, but the seed had been planted. The will reading amplified the rift. Sarah, Richard's daughter, a polished lawyer in her 30s, slammed her fist on the table in the family lawyer's office afterward. "This is absurd. Dad barely knew him for a decade, and we're blood." Her eyes narrowed at Cade, suspicion flickering. Michael, the younger son, paced the room, his face flushed. "You manipulated him, didn't you? Played the poor orphan card." Cade stood silent, his chest tightening. Inside, turmoil raged. How could he defend himself without revealing the intimacy that had blossomed in secret? Nights when Richard's hand on his shoulder had evolved into embraces that felt like home. Their first kiss, tentative and desperate, under the stars on the Cape Cod vacation home Richard had bought for us. Cade had rationalized it. Richard wasn't his biological father. The adoption was legal, but their bond transcended paper. Yet society wouldn't see it that way. Gay love was one thing. This crossed into taboo, whispers of incest even if unfounded. Cade's mind screamed, "Am I a monster for loving the man who saved me?" As the family gathered for the post-funeral reception at the brownstone, tensions simmered. Elena, Richard's ex-wife, cornered Cade in the kitchen. "He changed after you came along. Distant. Secretive." Her words stung like accusations. Cade poured himself a drink, his hands shaking. He remembered Richard's vulnerability. "I've hidden who I am my whole life, Cade. With you, I don't have to." Their relationship had been a sanctuary, stolen moments of passion, tempered by fear of discovery. No overt displays, just quiet affirmations. Richard funding Cade's education, Cade caring for him during his illness. But now, with the inheritance, envy twisted into scrutiny. Sarah hired a private investigator. Cade overheard her saying on the phone. Panic clawed at him. What if they found the letters, the photos hidden in Richard's study? His inner voice whispered betrayal. You owe them nothing, but everything to him. Yet doubt crept in. Had he truly loved Richard? Or was it dependency disguised as romance? By evening, alone in Richard's, now his bedroom, Cade collapsed onto the bed, tears streaming. The will wasn't just money. It was Richard's final declaration of love, entrusting his legacy to the one who knew his soul. But at what cost? Cade's thoughts spiraled. Society preaches acceptance, but only within neat boxes. Their love defied categories, born from nurture, not nature. Was it wrong? He clutched Richard's watch, the engraving inside reading, "Forever yours." The weight of judgment loomed. But in his heart, Cade knew. This was real, messy human. As sleep evaded him, he wondered if the truth would heal or shatter the fragile remnants of family. The investigators' report arrived like a storm cloud 2 weeks after the funeral, shattering the uneasy peace Cade had clung to. Sarah thrust the folder into his hands at a tense family meeting in the Brownstones' living room, her voice laced with triumph and disgust. Love letters? Hidden trips? You were his lover. The word hung in the air, poison-laced. As Michael recoiled and Elena gasped, her hand flying to her mouth, Cade's world tilted. He had thought the secrets buried deep, but here they were, exposed in grainy photos and transcribed emails. His mind raced. How could he explain the depth without sounding perverse? Richard had been his everything: mentor, friend, partner, in a world that demanded labels he couldn't provide. Flashbacks assaulted him as he sat there, stone-faced. Their relationship had evolved slowly, painfully. After that first confession, Cade had pulled away, enrolling in more classes to avoid the house. But Richard's persistence was gentle. Notes left on his desk. I respect your space, but my feelings are true. Cade's own confusion gnawed at him. Growing up in foster care, he'd learned to suppress emotions, especially the ones society deemed unnatural. He was gay, he knew that, but falling for his adoptive father? It felt like a betrayal of the trust Richard had given. Yet, in quiet moments, Cade admitted the pull. Richard's wisdom, his quiet strength, the way he saw Cade's potential when no one else did. Their first real intimacy came during a blizzard, power out, huddled by the fire. I love you, Cade had murmured, surprising himself. Richard's eyes had filled with tears. You've given me a second chance at life. From then on, they navigated in shadows, aware of the risks. Cade's inner monologue tortured him. Is this love or Stockholm? But the joy outweighed the doubt, until Richard's cancer diagnosis. The family's outrage pulled him back to the present. This is sick, Michael spat. You preyed on him when he was vulnerable. Cade's throat tightened. He wanted to scream that it was mutual, that Richard had initiated, but words failed. Instead, he whispered, he loved me, truly. Sarah laughed bitterly. Love? You're half his age. Adopted son turned gold digger. The inheritance now seemed tainted, a spotlight on their hidden life. Elena, tears streaming, added, I always suspected something off. He divorced me right after adopting you. Cade's mind reeled. Had Richard's marriage ended because of him? No, Richard had confided it was loveless long before. But doubt festered. Maybe I was the catalyst. The meeting ended in chaos, Sarah vowing to contest the will on grounds of undue influence. Alone later, Cade paced, his thoughts a whirlwind. Society accepts gay marriage now, but this? Age gap, power imbalance, familial ties, it's a minefield. He felt exposed, raw, questioning if their love was worth the fallout. News spread like wildfire through Boston's elite circles. Whispers at Cade's law firm internship turned to stares. A colleague cornered him. Is it true about you and your dad? The word dad twisted like a knife. Cade's internal struggle intensified. Richard wasn't dad in that sense. He was Rick, the man who held him through nightmares. But to the world, it was incestuous, predatory. He skipped work, holing up in the brownstone, rereading Richard's journals. Entries poured out love. Cade has awakened parts of me I thought dead. Tears blurred the pages as Cade confronted his grief. I miss him so much it hurts. Was our love selfish? The contested will hearing loomed, lawyers probing their relationship. Cade's lawyer advised denial, but his heart rebelled. Lying would dishonor Richard. Friends distanced themselves. Even his college buddy, Jake, hesitated on calls. Man, that's heavy. You sure it wasn't? Weird. Cade's rage boiled inwardly. Weird? It was profound, transformative. But isolation deepened his despair. One night, staring at their photo, he whispered, Why did you leave me to face this alone? The answer echoed in his mind, because you were strong enough. As the legal battle heated, Cade realized the true conflict wasn't just external. It was within, forcing him to defend a love that defied norms, even to himself. The courtroom in downtown Boston felt like a pressure cooker as the will contest hearing began. 3 months after Richard's death, with Cade on the stand, his palms slick with sweat under the judge's piercing gaze. Sarah's attorney fired questions like bullets. When did your relationship with Mr. Hale turn romantic? Cade swallowed hard, the room spinning with reporters scribbling notes, turning their private world into public spectacle. It was mutual, born from deep connection, he managed, but inside, a storm raged. Admitting it aloud felt like betrayal, yet denying it would erase Richard entirely. His mind screamed, "Why must I justify our love to strangers?" The evidence parade deepened the wound. Emails projected on screens. Richard's poetic declarations, "My heart beats only for you, Cade." Photos from hidden getaways, arms entwined innocently enough to outsiders, but laden with meaning. Sarah testified tearfully, "Dad changed after Cade withdrew from us." Michael's account painted Cade as manipulator. He isolated Dad, turned him against his real family. Cade's heart ached. He remembered Richard's regrets. "I failed my kids long before you, Cade. Don't blame yourself." But the narrative stuck. Predatory orphan seducing wealthy widower. Cade's lawyer countered with Richard's therapist notes, affirming his sound mind and genuine affection. But the damage was done. Internally, Cade battled. Am I the villain they see? Our age difference, 25 years, loomed large, society quick to label it exploitation. Yet Richard had empowered him, never controlled. Media frenzy exploded outside court. Headlines screamed, "Forbidden love." Adopted son's shocking affair with father figure. Protests gathered, conservative groups decrying moral decay. LGBTQ advocates divided, some defending boundary-pushing love, others fearing it set back progress. Cade's phone buzzed with hate mail. Disgusting pervert. His isolation deepened. Even supportive voices whispered caution. One ally, a gay rights activist named Tom, met him secretly. This could redefine family, but it's risky. Cade nodded, but doubt gnawed. Is redefining worth the pain? Flashbacks to Richard's final days haunted him. Chemo-ravaged, yet his eyes lit up at Cade's touch. "Promise you'll fight for us?" Richard had begged. Cade's resolve hardened, but grief twisted it. Fighting means reliving every intimate moment under scrutiny. The hearing dragged, experts debating ethics. A psychologist testified on attachment theory. Trauma bonds can mimic romance. Cade bristled inwardly. It wasn't mimicry. It was real, forged in vulnerability. His own testimony cracked open old wounds. Richard saved me from hell. Our love grew naturally. Tears fell as he described their quiet life. Cooking together, debating philosophy. But cross-examination twisted it. Did you influence the will during his illness? No, Cade insisted, but his mind wavered. Had subconscious dependency played a role? The judge's neutral face offered no solace. Post-hearing, Cade collapsed in his hotel room, sobs racking him. The external battles paled against internal torment. Society's judgment mirrored his fears. Was our love pure or tainted by circumstance? As weeks blurred, Cade sought therapy, unpacking layers. You internalized shame, the counselor said. Cade agreed, but anger surged. Why shame for loving authentically? Richard's voice echoed. Love doesn't fit boxes. Yet the cost mounted, lost job offers, estranged friends. Sarah's olive branch came unexpectedly. A private meeting. I miss Dad too, she admitted, eyes soft. But this hurts. Cade's vulnerability spilled. He loved you, but we found each other in the gaps. For a moment, understanding flickered, but pain lingered. Cade's heart heavy with unresolved grief. He wondered if reconciliation was possible, or if their love's revelation had scorched the earth forever. 6 months post-funeral, the judge's ruling hit like a thunderclap. The will upheld, but with caveats. 10% more to Sarah and Michael, acknowledging familial strain. Cade sat numb in the courtroom, victory tasting like ash as cameras flashed and shouts erupted. Justice for taboo love? one reporter yelled. Inside, Cade unraveled. This wasn't vindication. It was a half measure, society patting itself for tolerance while condemning in whispers. His mind howled. Why can't they see Richard as I did? A man deserving happiness, not judgment? The aftermath amplified isolation. Moving back to the brownstone felt ghostly. Every corner echoed Richard, his favorite armchair, the bookshelf of shared reads. Cade wandered rooms, internal dialogues consuming him. You won the money, but lost everything else. Sarah's lawsuit appeal loomed, dragging more dirt. Public opinion polarized. Online forums debated, is adoptive romance incest? Supportive messages arrived. Your story gives hope to hidden loves. But hate drowned them. Death threats, doxing. Cade's paranoia grew. He changed locks, avoided windows. Therapy sessions delved deeper. Grief and shame entwine, the counselor noted. Cade confessed buried fears. What if I used him for security? Richard's memory rebuked. You gave me purpose. Yet doubt persisted, fueled by societal echoes. Age gaps excused for straights, vilified for gays. A turning point came via an unexpected ally, Elena, inviting him to coffee. I reread his letters to me, she said softly. He was always searching for real connection. Maybe you gave that. Tears welled in Cade's eyes. Her words pierced the armor. It wasn't planned, he choked. We fought it. Elena nodded. Love rarely is. For the first time, empathy bridged the chasm, but pain lingered, her loss, his gain. Internally, Cade grappled. Can forgiveness heal, or does it require forgetting? Michael remained hostile, cutting ties, amplifying Cade's guilt. I stole their father. Flashbacks intensified. Richard's deathbed. Tell them I loved them. Cade had promised, but words failed amid scandal. Media interviews beckoned. Cade accepted one, voice trembling on national TV. Our love was consensual, adult. Judge the heart, not labels. Backlash surged, boycotts, lost endorsements, but a groundswell emerged. Stories from others in unconventional relationships. You're not alone, emails read. Cade's heart swelled, then cracked. Richard should be here for this. Grief morphed into rage at a world forcing defense of the indefensible. Nights blurred in insomnia, thoughts circling. Society evolves, but slowly. Gay rights won, yet nuances lag. Was our bond a step forward or regression? As appeals dragged, Cade volunteered at LGBTQ centers, channeling pain into advocacy. Boundaries blur in love, he told groups, voice strengthening. Internally, transformation brewed, from victim to voice. Yet personal toll mounted. Romance seemed impossible. Who would date the scandal son? Loneliness echoed Richard's absence, deepening sorrow. One stormy night, clutching Richard's ring, Cade wept. Was it worth it? The answer, faint but firm, yes, for the love we shared. As external storms raged, Cade's inner resolve crystallized, preparing for the final reckoning. 9 months after Richard's passing, the appeal court delivered the final blow or salvation. Will intact, no further contests. Cade stood outside the Boston courthouse, rain soaking him. As Sarah approached, defeated yet resolute. It's over, she said, voice breaking. But we'll never be family. Her words gutted him. Michael's absence screamed louder. Inside, Cade shattered. Victory meant nothing without reconciliation. His mind wailed. Our love divided what it should have united. Richard's ghost haunted. I wanted peace for all. The scandal's ripples widened, transforming Cade into an unwitting icon. Documentaries probed, books speculated. He declined most, but spoke at a Pride event. Love defies norms. Embrace it. Cheers mixed with booze, mirroring his turmoil. Advocacy consumed him, but grief festered untreated. Therapy unearthed core wounds. Foster abandonment fueling attachment fears. Richard filled voids, he admitted. But was it healthy? Doubts crescendoed. Society labels us predators, but we're human. Flawed. Flashbacks assaulted Richard's laugh, his final breath in Cade's arms. "I regret nothing," Richard had whispered. Cade clung to that, yet questioned. "Did I?" Family fractures deepened. Elena mediated a dinner, tense and tearful. "Dad hid his sexuality," Sarah confessed. "Maybe that's why." Understanding dawned, but resentment lingered. "You got his heart and fortune." Cade's vulnerability poured. "I loved him beyond words. It cost me too." Hugs followed sobs, fragile bonds reforming. Internally, Cade rejoiced and mourned. Healing demands truth, but scars remain. Public scrutiny eased, but personal battles raged. Dating attempts failed, shadows of judgment looming. "You're infamous," one suitor said, fleeing. Isolation peaked. "Am I doomed to solitude for loving freely?" Reflection consumed nights. Journals filled with Richard's echoes. Society changes when we challenge it. Cade founded a support group for unconventional loves, channeling pain into purpose. Stories shared mirrored his age gaps, blended families. Empowerment surged, but exhaustion followed. Fighting wears the soul. One dawn, atop their Cape Cod cliff, Cade scattered Richard's ashes, whispering, "Your love was my truth." Tears mingled with sea spray, release bittersweet. Years blurred, but the core question lingered, sparking endless debates. In a world preaching acceptance, was their relationship a beautiful defiance or a dangerous delusion?